really love you, or is this your third or fourth marriage? I'm sorry.
Been married once, but you can keep fucking trying. So I know.
Keep fucking trying with you.
Say? What did you just say?
You're so misogynistic.
You just said a minute ago insecurity, and at least you admit you're insecure. I love it.
Oh, I never said I'm insecure.
You are. You
baby, this is one woman that doesn't give a fuck about what you think.
So the best part about
this is one person that
you literally just said you go into attack.
No, you just said something about me.
This is the
when problem. You're saying something about me, I'm responding. See, you're not that smart.
No,
because if you say something about somebody, expect them to respond, right?
So, no, you don't say a fucking word. You don't let somebody finish. I was going to try to tell you that China fucking terrorist us first. They started terrorism.
I heard that 3 times already.
Yep. You can't fucking defend. You just said.
No, I already heard that, and I said you can do sanctions, you can do whatever, you can put people on entity lists, but what you can't do is I don't think the tariffs are something that is healthy. Go ahead. I'm sorry to continue to talk, James.
No, I was just curious. China put tariffs on us first, so you don't think retaliation tariffs are a good thing?
I don't think retaliation tariffs are a good thing. They create an inefficiency, and even though there's the Taft-Hartley tariffs that happened in 1929, early 30s, that dipped the American economy. Whether there's a direct causal relationship remains to be debated, but that dipped us into the Great Recession, along with the stock market crash, and then the retaliatory tariffs during that time period. So you got to be careful in the balance of the economy. When you have a devaluing dollar, and you have tariffs hitting back and forth, and then you have a very volatile way that you don't know. You have declining employment and other risks that are out there. You don't want to tip whatever the situation is, our economy into a recession or depression, right?
Yeah.
So
another question.
Yeah, China. Well, let me respond to the China question. Like I said, it is not efficient to hit tariffs because in the end, our citizens as a democracy pay. Now, I don't know what China does to its citizens. I don't think they even give, no, actually I do know. They don't give their citizen choices as elaborate as we do. So when our citizens go to the market and they go to Walmart or they go to Target or they go to any other consumer retail store that has had a bargain price, right? When you get tariffs, it hits them. So that $12,000 that William was willing to pay at one point, our average American citizen can't pay that. And that's what we have to be reflective on.
No, I understand where you're coming from there, but you understand that if China produces a lot of stuff that we need, manufactures a lot of stuff that we need, right? And if they ever went to attack Taiwan, we would be at war with China. How would that impact our manufactured needs at that point?
Name what we automatically have to get from China. We have
a lot of our medication.
We cannot. I'm just saying what.
A lot of our medication that we get from China.
We can get our medications also from Netherlands and Europe, right?
Yeah,
well,
but
that's the point. The Netherlands and Europe, they're also giving up their manufacturing to China.
But that's why I said to you, okay, but Hanson, that's where I said to you, you can't pick a fight with everybody, because when we do these worldwide tariffs, we're picking. See, the logic doesn't make sense. We're picking on 139 countries. But yet, I'm just throwing that number out there. I think it's significantly less, but it's still high up there. We're picking on random countries. But see, all they have to do is pick on one United States.
Yeah.
So the odds of what we're putting in the damage is greater on us than the other way around.
Not necessarily. Just because the number of countries, there are a number of countries, the size of the economy is much less than the U.S.
But it would depend.
Can afford.
Yeah, but it would.
So I'm saying that the evidence is using the premises, the number of countries. That's not the relevant quantity here. It's the size of the economy.
The size of the economy. True, yes. But then that means the United States, being as large as we are, shouldn't have to pick on the small ones. But when we're the small ones, if the United States is not largely their export partner. But when you begin to raise tariffs in countries that they're not United States not their number one partner, you're creating friction that doesn't exist. So when the United States went and said, "Oh, I'm going to now do Vietnam, and I'm now going to do Malaysia," a lot of the trading partners weren't necessarily the United States. They had large partnerships and trades with China. You are now causing a friction where, United States citizens, where we had essential goods coming from Vietnam or Malaysia or even Singapore, now have to consider, let me see if I can find another outlet for my product that now the United States has become very unfriendly towards me. The trade agreement that we negotiated about a year ago or 3 years ago, even when someone had brought up in our argument the USMC, which is form of NAFTA, right? We negotiated that. Trump actually negotiated that in his first term. Now he blew up those terms and those conditions in those trade agreements. So by putting tariffs, you're now not only causing harm to our word as a country, because we're inconsistent with our trade agreements, because that's what it is. It's an agreement. Now we're now going to levy tariffs against you. Shows that you're inconsistent and I can't trust you. So it's best to find reliable partners. And the one thing that the market doesn't like is uncertainty. So people begin to move they don't want to bank their money against the U.S. dollar. They start looking at gold reserves, and the petrodollar becomes weak.
So the premise is wrong, because the previous premises that if we're on the same playing field and people can make their choices, the thing is we are the most open market by far.
Combat Zionism, the final stages of Zionism
in the world, and China is not the open market. And precisely where we have the trade friction with China is precisely
late stage Zionism.
They reneged on you talk about the trade deals, and they reneged on the biggest trade deal, WTO, and it's reneged on with China, with America, and with Europe, and everybody, and then also Europeans are also reneging on their trade deals, because they're erecting the trade barriers. And so we're just pointing out this deficiency, to say the least, if not renegation on the trade deals on their part. And we're just saying, well, here's the medicine. You brewed for yourself. Take a sip of your own medicine and see what it tastes like. And if you don't do that, then we're going to renege just the same. And either you break the trade deal with us, or you mend your own behavior. And that's the purpose of this you can say friction or whatever. It's because they erected the barrier and they broke the treaty.
Operation Combat Zionism. Late stage Zionism. Part of the New World Order, tradecraft.
I don't know.
NAFTA.
This is like game theoretic tactic.
Benjamin Netanyahu 2060-55 Cyborg Edition.
Free trade agreement.
Okay. I disagree. First of all, when you said that U.S. is the most open market, it depends on how we define open. If we look at open in terms of zero, one moment.
No tariffs.
Then Singapore has 0 to no tariffs. It's extremely low in its regulatory barriers. Then you have Switzerland.
European Union, right? And you were talking
I'm just Union. Ireland has a low tariff. Ireland has low tariffs.
It's just had an abortion.
Right? They're part of the EU, not England, not the United Kingdom. I'm talking Ireland.
Yeah, you're
and
as a whole, like Germany.
Yeah,
I'm considered a late stage abortion in the Democrat community.
Because they didn't Brexit, right?
Late stage.
Ireland is a small country.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, openness can be defined, and United States oftentimes is not ranked as the largest and openness. But nevertheless, going back to the original argument on if they did it first, therefore we're doing it retaliation. When you have an agreement, they did not break the agreement. It wasn't until and I'm not saying who's right and wrong.
First thing is the agreements were unbalanced in the first place.
Okay, so now you're going to revise it and say it was unbalanced. Okay.
Tariffs, not only higher tariffs, but also they had the non-tariff trade barriers, left and right, the obvious covert and overt trade barriers.
But we have sanctions. We're driving all the Wassenaar and all these to comply with U.S. So we have sanctions. So just because they have trade barriers, we can put sanctions up against them. Like we do with Iran. So we still use certain tools.
You want to hurt the people in foreign countries.
I'm just saying.
It's not kosher.
Sanctions are brutal.
Shema Yisrael
But tariffs are not friendly either, and it can be brutal to those countries that rely largely on that.
Tariff is more. I mean, first of all, we don't have
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai
Echad. Other countries. I mean, covert and overt policies, and this is probably
There are followers of the Rebbe who say Rabbono Shalom is extremely useful.
Whether it's foe or friend's behavior.
They say it's good for the blood pressure. It's basically economic statecraft, right?
I've been silent for 15 minutes.
Greater Israel!
What do you mean by
sanctions and tariffs?
No, what I say is I leverage,
We're listening to a San Francisco State University law professor and Google employee
leverage sanctions.
Talking nonstop for hours. Everybody's given up over the past couple hours. She's undefeated.
That's what we've done for years with Cuba.
She's got incredible resiliency and spirit.
That's what we did with Venezuela. That's what we do with North Korea. That's what we do. Tariffs are again attacks to our citizens. I'm going to be consistent. It's attacks to our
Your love for me burns deep. How deep?
China.
Prove it.
And EU.
You know what we've done with China? We put a lot of the companies that we feel that are bad actors or entities that act in a certain way, we put them on an entity list in the United States.
Sure, that's just
so an entity list tells us that we are not going to do business. It doesn't mean, or we limit your business, or we limit what you're able to export into our country. If we also have problems with a certain entity, we have countervailances tax or anti-dumping laws, so that if we feel that someone is undermining our ability to, or importing stuff that we feel is an unfair or imbalanced trade, we will hit them with countervailance or anti-dumping laws, so that they don't dump and put our businesses out of, our companies out of business. Oh no,
boycott and divest
anti-dumping
the
and
Zionists.
Very different.
Never.
Because it's also industry specific, and it stops people and companies from dumping and putting U.S. companies out of business. And it's targeting tariffs.
Benjamin Netanyahu, 2065 Cyborg Edition.
So did we still get some steel coming in when we did that, or does it prevent all of the products from coming
we have
in?
Lower back.
Actually, we have anti-dumping laws for U.S. steel,
and what it's saying
so
is
that Canadian steel or China
products from coming in?
Power of the
Does it
Sally.
prevent
Rabbono
all
Shalom.
the products from coming in?
Rabbono Shalom. Get your tickets for your local Purim Chabad festival soon, Rabbono Shalom.
It's not a tariff.
You're missing the
You may have missed the early bird special, but it's never too late.
You see the difference.
Rabbono Shalom.
Now, anti-dumping hits the companies.
Which is the only other incentive we have. You're not even smart enough to be making your own argument.
Oh no, I'm actually very smart to make that. I don't need your validation. You're the one without the degrees, and you're the one. I don't care. I don't need to worry.
Anti-dumping or the sanction on a particular company applies.
Or the countervalence. I said countervalence.
One company or two company does the value.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. But the thing is, what if the whole country has a policy of doing the same for all companies? What are you going to do? Of course, you can do, well, all your companies, yes, we can do the 301, the sanctions on every company. But how's that different from a tariff?
It is different because, again, it's specific to an industry and it's specific.
But I'm just saying that and
it's different from a tariff because the difference.
sanction on
There are followers of the
1,
rebel
2,
who
3
say
companies.
Rabbono
So let's
Shalom
say if
is
the industry
extremely
1, 2, 3
useful
and
to say Rabbono
100,000
Shalom.
companies in this industry all doing the same thing because they're under the same policy of the government, and doing the same thing. It's a uniform same thing. Of course, you can apply the 301
Countervailance
to
Countervailance.
all companies. How's that different from this sanctioning the whole industry?
Because it is very different. Because again, when you sanction a company, it impacts the company that is the bad actor. But when you do a tariff, it does not tariff the country. The country is upset about it, but in the end, when you have a price markup, let's say I do I charge $1,000 for an iPhone. What you're looking at is that it's the consumers that are importing that the importer that is now John. Let me finish, John Schmo. Cell phone has to now import a whole bunch of boxes. I am. I said that's the difference. I did say that's the difference. No, I'm not. Dude, and I said the difference is that the consumer pays. Are you a dumbass? The consumer pays versus the company. The company is not paying. When you do the tariffs, the citizens of the importing company, where the prices are flowed down to, in most cases they are.
There are followers of the rebel who say Rabbono Shalom is extremely useful to say 1,000 times a day Rabbono Shalom.
The sale price can raise its price. So it's it can do both ways.
Rabbono Shalom, Rabbono Shalom. It's a Jewish mantra. You just repeat it over and over again. So when you hear people like this who can't stop talking, it's a mantra. So, you don't have to sit there and think all the time. You can just say Rabbono Shalom. Rabbono Shalom, Rabbono Shalom, Rabbono Shalom.
The industry is doing the same thing. Are you going to pinpoint every company of this industry, or are you going to sanction the whole industry? What's the difference?
Well, in the 301 section, to be very clear, so I can make sure that everybody understands, that's an industry specific, right? So it authorizes the president to adjust the imports, right? So when you're talking about that, and that's basically reciprocal tariffs that apply to fentanyl or anything that is dangerous that comes into the country to prevent the importing of it. See, that's different than the blanket tariffs that were applied to a country, right?
Again,
I'm not, and then you say I never said.
Let's say if we.
It is different because there's the IEEPA tariffs.
Answer my question. Let me restate my question. So let's say we focus on one industry before we focus on the whole country, and on one industry. So the one option is apply a tariff. Whatever you say to the whole industry of this country, and the other one is using Section 301 to apply to every company of this industry. And what is the difference?
There's actually a big difference because I think you're misunderstanding the 301 section. When you're doing a specific country, because you're penalizing them, tariffs will not necessarily be the best solution. You might as well block them if you don't want to do business with them, or your trade agreement with them, right? To limit what they're allowed to import into the country. So no. So when you're doing a tariff specific, the intent of a tariff is to either penalize that industry, which is the case of the Section 301 tariffs, which deals with the product like the fentanyl, which is encouraged. But I believe the blanket tariffs, like I said, and I'm not changing or deviating, is a hazard to our citizens. That is it. Now, if you're trying to protect an industry, I did answer the question. No, you guys don't like the answer. No, you don't like the answer because you're not smart enough to read the answer to understand the difference between a 301 and a blanket tariff. No, you don't know the difference between a 301 and a blanket tariff. What's a 301? What's a 301, William?
saying is when you try to sanction the whole industry, whether you apply one option is to apply a blanket tariff
for national security reasons.
For whatever reason we say, but we're just trying to see the difference, right? So and then the other one is pinpointing individual companies. So now we decided that this industry is applying the same uniform.
This is an Iranian flute. I think it's called the duduk or something. Duduk. I don't know. It's very hard to play.
One option
it's basically like a vibration flute.
To the whole industry.
It's pretty dope.
Pinpoint companies and
Seek his nay. Seek his nay.
And when we have determined that every company in this industry is doing the same harm to the U.S., one option is a blanket penalty. The other option is applying individual penalty for every company in this industry. So what's the difference?
Well, what's the difference? This is where I wanted to make sure you're clear. I said the blanket tariffs. I'm going to go back because there is a difference. The blanket tariffs, which are the IEPAs, which is what Trump did on Tariff Liberation Day, right? That is not okay. But the difference between the sanctions that I would do in place would be for national security reasons. If it's an industry is causing a harm, which is similar to a Section 301. If it's actually Section 232, where there is a national security threat. So if fentanyl is coming across the border, or our lumber industry is in peril, or steel's in peril, then the tariffs are justifiable only in that term because you're trying, or you lose countervailance or anti-dumping laws to prevent that. But that is a choice for tariffs at that point, which is Section 322. That's the difference, right? The difference is A, national security reasons,
very hard to play,
or the authority, which is the 301 for unfair practices. That is very limiting and is not going to benefit because, again, that's where you target a specific country. That's the difference.
National security reasons, both the blanket tariff and the...
No, I wouldn't do a blanket. I wouldn't do a blanket.
I'm just saying
I wouldn't do a blanket.
I mean, because...
The difference is a blanket tariffs.
National security reasons for unfair practice and one blanket tariff and individual sanctions on all companies in the industry.
Okay, sanctions don't levy a financial penalty per se to the importer.
So
right?
sanctions meaning
the sanctions.
Doing no business.
Yeah, you're black. Yeah, that's the best way to say it. Yeah, is that you're
So if that's the difference, then I think the tariff is better because tariff you have a gradated, gradual and gradated penalty. You don't have to raise it to 100%, either zero or binary, 0 or 100%. We can because you're
never had one lesson.
You have a penalty.
Home run.
To national security, and then we may still want to do business. But if you raise the price and all that, then we can do that. So this is a much flexible tool than the sanction.
I don't think so because again, there's 3 different types of tariffs. 4 actually. You have the IEPA, which is similar to like the sanctions. That was and that's the tariffs. That was the blanket one that Trump was doing. That is not good. I don't see that.
Why is it not good?
Because again.
Well, I'm just saying that because you said.
Well, hold on.
Hold on. Let me pose the question clear because you didn't answer the question.
Okay.
So the sanction is either 0, no penalty whatsoever, and 100% meaning that no business deal whatsoever, and then the tariff can go from 0% to 2%, 1%, 52%, 65%, 100%, 200% until no business is done. So we have a gradation all the way. So it's much more flexible than a binary
I could agree with you that it could be more flexible. The problem is that the current implementation by which was taken was not flexible. You had a minimum, you did not have a minimum tariff at Tariff Liberation Day nor on the existing tariffs until recently, where all the tariffs were administered at least above 25% and higher.
That's a choice, right? But the sanction is even worse because that would be completely.
You can always take it off. The sanction you can always remove.
Completely cutting off the trade.
No, you just cut off the company.
It will be infinite, either zero or infinite tariff. Right?
No,
so
you can sanction a company.
25 is I can decide where if he sees fit, it's 10% or 25% or 30%, 50%. That's a very flexible.
But then it becomes arbitrary. And it creates distrust.
Well,
because when you begin to have a gradient and a variation of tariffs, and it may be on a different product or wherever it is, country of origin of XYZ country,
show's over.
Inconsistent and you don't have an agreement.
What are you still doing here? Show's over.
Trade deals individual.
No, what I'm saying, that's why I'm arguing for trade deals.
Got my tefillin in the day. He skipped it yesterday. Did it at midnight.
If you have a trade deal, you are binding.
When's the last time you put on tefillin?
That is binding.
Today.
But when you have a tariff, that's not necessarily a trade deal.
And the tariff is the leverage to get the trade deal.
But Trump went back and changed his tariffs to France 3 or 4 times. Trump changed his tariffs to China 3 or 6 times. I think you're missing the point. Trump went back and changed his tariffs to China several times.
But you can be arbitrary in a trade deal. How can you be arbitrary in a trade deal but not a treaty? And how can you not see that the treaty
you did not understand. I said you can be arbitrary in a tariff. I didn't say a trade.
Yes, but you can decide. You can also be arbitrary in a sanction as well.
You said that you could be arbitrary in a trade deal earlier.
No, you're missing. No, I said in a trade deal, which is a tariff agreement. I said you have consistency. It is enforced. That is the problem. Is that Trump then introduced, and not just Trump, other people did it arbitrary. Like, I'm going to now raise a tariff. Under what condition? What is your justification? Now are you pissed off with me because I didn't vote at the UN Security Council a certain way? Or I'm now going to support X, Y, and Z, and I'm now going to support this. Now I'm going to raise your tariff 50%?
So is your opposition to tariffs because of the motive or the incentive?
The inconsistency of it being applying. I'm against tariffs because it's a tax.
The question first.
Yeah, I said I'm against tariffs again, and I don't have to spell it out to you, William. Unless you want me to passer avec toi alors, parce que vous êtes très bête. Quand tu dis les choses comme ça, vous êtes vachement comme les malades, comme les bêtes. No, I told you over and over again. I told you over and over again. It's a tax to our consumers. And our people do not need to have arbitrary costs rolled on down to them. It's a tax to our consumers and our citizens. And they don't need to pay arbitrary. That is why I'm against tariffs. And until you get into your head, William, you just don't like my answer. William, you just don't like my answer. I still feel like it's a tax to our citizens. And that is it. I do not care what you think. It does not change the Supreme Court decision. It's still a problem. The tariffs are still a problem when it's not applied in a certain way. It's still a problem. William, until you can get to the news, a tariff is still a problem. A tariff is only good when you do it as a Section 301, a 232, or a 122. Okay? William, you're not very bright. Understand what a tariff is?
That's my projection alert, Belle. She just said you're not very bright, William. That's her projection. Hello?
Actually, no, I'm not, dude.
This woman works at Google and is a law professor.
I'm sorry.
Hello?
What do you do for a living?
She can't even have a conversation. Hello?
What do you do for a living?
We bono shalom. They're our followers of the Rebbe.
What do
who say Rabbanu Shalom is extremely useful. Rabbanu Shalom.
You could just be quiet long enough to let me finish the question.
Ooh.
Which is, are you against the tariffs because of the motivation that somebody uses to apply them? Or are you against the tariffs because that they are incentive to get a trade deal?
We're going to the
They're
planet
not really
Dune.
To get a trade deal, to be very
I'm a spice merchant.
If they were, then there would be trade deals in place.
Its surface is barren.
They're not. There were
its true strength hidden.
So I'm against tariffs because, again, you asked me the
its
question.
Its foreboding desert conceals the power to fold space.
It is a taxation to our citizens or any of the...
To slow time. To send the mind where the body cannot go. It is the source of the ultimate power. It is the deadly battleground where a young leader will emerge to command an army of 6 million warriors against the tyrannical force that threatens to enslave the universe. It is the clash for the greatest prize of all. The planet called Dune. A world beyond your experience, beyond your imagination. The motion picture event you've been waiting for.
Instead of using it to punish countries for what the world considers to be bad behavior, because you're more comfortable calling it a sanction, isn't that kind of overblowing the word sanction?
No.
Shouldn't we reserve that for countries like
really.
Iran and Cuba? No, we should just call it a sanction, right? So let me ask you a follow-up question. So you said why you're against tariffs. So had the tariffs led to trade deals when you claim they didn't, but let's say they had led to trade deals, would that have been a proper incentive to use if it resulted in a trade deal?
No, I said no, because in the end, the tariffs rose its cost to the consumers.
Okay.
Wait, what? In the end, it raises the price on the consumers. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So basically, your reason for against it is because it raises a tax on the consumer, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the reason.
And Hanson, real quick, I do agree with the fact that they can adjust the price upstream, right when they sell right when they have the deal with the seller at the very beginning. But that is rarely done, and it's not done because it cuts into the margin oftentimes of because a tariff is not necessarily always planned. It could be impulsive. It could be whatever the situation is, and that is what causes the margins for companies to fall because they don't plan in their budget that they usually would do in the long term.
Yeah. So they can lower their manufacturing or lower their price. But if they still survive, they'll do it. So there's no reason there's no reason that they couldn't do it. And then also your previous reason for being against tariff is because of tax. But the thing is, sanctions is also a tax. So you should be against sanction as well. Right? I don't know. Did you hear me?
Previously, she made the argument it's not taxing the same people, it's taxing the foreigners, not the American citizens, was her previous
argument. No, but the thing is, that's the same thing, right? I mean, because...
I know, she got really silent, so I was telling you what her answer was before. I know, but we're just repeating pattern.
Yeah, I understand, but I want to point out the logical contradiction in that her argument. If she's using that, then I mean, sanction basically is infinite percent tariff, and so that will also definitely it will be even more cutting to tax the consumer even more. Because so sanction is basically infinite percent tariff, and then tariff any tariff as a finite percent will be better than the infinite percent.
I don't agree, again, because the tariffs is paid, like I said. I do believe, like I said, you can have a sanction, and it can also affect or ban a company that you don't think is doing good business, or it can also impact and influence a country to have a positive behavior. The tariffs, though, in the end, when you roll out a tariff, and I will continue to uphold this, it ends up impacting adversely the consumer in the importing country.
So
that's
how does
hang on, Hanson or Williams, can I ask a question? Hanson or Williams can answer this. What affects the price of products in South America?
Free market.
Okay, and so for prices, if we limit something, if we put sanctions on something and limit the number of say something is, let's just say it's eggs. We have limits, but let's just say we sanction the country that's got sent eggs to America, right? We sanction, and now we have a limited supply of eggs. What happens to the price of the eggs?
That's exactly my point. Because sanction is
They go up.
The
Okay.
tariff, infinite percent tariff, and the other finite tariff would be less than infinite. So
but that's not necessarily the case, because when you sanction a company because of behavior
Why do
that
you
you
keep
feel,
saying
it
sanction a
doesn't,
company? Why?
or a country. You can sanction a company and a country. You can.
We've sanctioned a company.
You can sanction a company. They're on an entity list. That's what they call sanction. You have a sanctions list of entities. You can look it up. So when you do that, there's still unlimited amount of other choices out there. So eggs, you don't always have to get eggs at one source. So what I'm saying is that I understand your argument, Ice, makes sense. However, because of the diversity of the market, it is not a blanket from, let's say, we're cheese that comes from France or whatever the selection of cheese. It's not everything, absolutely everything that is coming in that's been selected that comes into from France that we're now going to do an increase at 40%. Right? It's not, and the cheese is not. It's not applied equally. Or what I'm saying is that there's an issue there, and you have other choices, but it hurts those consumers that when you have a tariff at 40% for France on their cheese, they're now going to pay a 40% augmented price.
Well, your same argument applies.
Eat American cheese.
The same argument applies.
Go ahead, William.
When the supply of cheese goes away, you can seek other sources of cheese. So the same argument applies. And then the sanction is basically the infinity percent. The consumer pays the price even higher than the 40% tariff.
I still disagree, but I apologize. It's now 1:30 my time. I've got to get to bed. I disagree. I disagree because
One
it's
last
not
question. Have
because
we
some
ever sanctioned a company but a company but not a country?
No, hold on.
Have we ever sanctioned a company but not a country?
Yeah, you can sanction. We didn't sanction fully China, but we sanctioned Huawei.
Tell us a company
right?
we've
No,
sanctioned.
what I'm saying is we didn't sanction China, but we sanctioned Huawei.
Yeah. Okay,
right?
So let's put it this way, right? Whether it's industry A, right? Industry A or company A, it doesn't matter. So sanction is basically no trade whatsoever. This is equivalent to applying an infinity percent tariff. And then we call tariff is we put 40% tariff. How does the 40% tariff is a higher tax on the consumer than the infinity percent tariff on the consumer?
Repeat your question.
Cheese is number one producer of cheese in the world.
Matter. Cheese company or cheese
we're
industry.
We're number one producer of cheese in the world, right? So we can produce confine this question, right? Cheese company, the French cheese company, one particular French cheese company, we can apply a sanction on this French cheese company.
then the other option is 40% tariff on this French cheese company. How does the 40%
Who cut the
tariff on
cheese?
company is worse than applying sanction, which is infinity percent tariff on this cheese company? How's it higher tax on
Because I'm going to go back to our original argument. Very good question. Your original argument was that if they had bad actors, right, that acted adversely to the national security or other concerns of the country, of our country, then your goal is to either have punitive measures. So that means you punish them either with the sanctions, but doing a tariff, again, because you're directly punishing the company versus punishing our consumers that may have the augmented
but
price.
the thing is, a company is.
I gave you the response. You may not like it.
Sure,
That is my response. But I have to go. It's 11:30. It's 1:30 my time. Sorry, I've got to get to work in the morning. It's 1:30 my.
Why would anyone want to interact with her?
She's escaping. I mean, guys, don't. I'm trying to back her into a corner. Don't mess it up.
Yeah, you have way more patience than the rest of us.
Yeah, but
your tone didn't even go up. Like, damn, dude, you were the best.
Yeah, William. Hold on. Let me finish. Because I want to. How you back someone into a corner is you set up a question that is very clear cut, and then it makes no sense. Stem all the exits and see how your opponent wiggle and squirm, but that takes a little bit of time. So please, because but she I think she's already feeding the heat, so that's why she is good.
Yeah, I know. I do the same. Ice does the same. We had backed her into corners, multiple corners, all night long before you came in, right? So, but
yeah, because
if you just wanted to chill.
Yeah, because if you not setting up this cage and leave all the exit open, then your opponent can squeeze through and in and out and then out. There's no way. It's like what do you call it? Hitting a whack-a-mole. Yes, the whack-a-mole. You need to playing the close all the exit and slowly, squeeze in.
Yeah, so that's what my point earlier. I mean, we were talking. She does what we can't manufacture, and I think as William was trying to explain how many trillions. And the reason, so this is what I love, is when they say, "Show me proof, show me." You literally had leaders of countries standing there saying, "We're going to do this." Now it takes time. What they don't understand is you got to get permitting, licensing. You got to buy land. You got the infrastructure to put in. It takes time to get this done. They think this stuff happens overnight, right? Number one. Number two, they're also very aware that in America, everybody, and I loved this earlier when Truth and everybody was trying to argue, oh, I'll bet you money that it flips at the halfway point. Every president it does. It's only not done it like twice. So it's like, are we really hedging our bets on that? And all it takes is Trump to do one thing that really surprises people, opens people up, shocks people, something in the right moment. Maybe he exposes something, and then people are like, okay, I like him. The political...
Shutting down the cartels in Mexico, freeing Iran, and a GDP that's at 6,
right?
And a CPI that's at 2.
So
that might work.
William, I don't know if you were on before when I said that we had a discussion, and I said, listen, if they were complaining about when he had said something about going after the cartels in Mexico, and I said, listen, this woman, if she's smart, she has to come out and say, you can't do that. But meanwhile, she gets on the phone and says, let's do this. But I have to publicly be against you or they'll kill me in 2 seconds.
Of course.
Yes. So she clearly, exactly what I said, and said, help us. Give us the intelligence. That way it doesn't necessarily look like you're involved, which we shouldn't have even exposed that we were. We shouldn't have even said that we had intelligence to give it to them. We should have just let them have the glory. But, they can't do that. We got to open our mouths over here.
Yeah, that's Trump. Come on. You think Trump would do that?
Right, exactly. And it should have been silenced. But here's the deal. they make one mistake and kill an American. You remember what he said last time? They killed an American family in a van, if I remember right. And they gave the cartel like 48 hours to hand somebody over who did it. And they did. They handed over like 2 or 3 guys because they were like, we don't want these guys coming across. They knew Trump would. And trust me, if they do harm somebody down there ain't going to be an ask. It will be Trump. And clearly, right now, I guarantee you, and before, drones are flying over. They're tracking people just like they knew where Maduro was, just like they knew where Bin Laden was. They monitor these guys. They know what clothes they're wearing. Like, they literally rebuilt the house, that Maduro was in to train in. This stuff is crazy, the intelligence that they got. And
for sure,
it's going to end quick. And so now, but the only thing is we also got to remember that side of the aisle, they literally were out in the street protesting no kings, no dictators. And then we took out a dictator and they said, release the dictator so he can go back and dictate the people who were celebrating that he was no longer dictator. And it was limited in Venezuela, but those people came out and said, why? Their families were here down in Miami. It was like a World Cup event, man. They were partying, celebrating. Literally. The Colombians that I know very closely want America to go in and get rid of the guy that's in there because the cartels are now the guerrillas are taking root again.
Well, they were celebrating too because the amount of Venezuelans that are in Colombia, Peru, even in Chile, all 3 of those countries were secretly like, yes, because they have a huge problem with Venezuelans migrating to their country and causing all kinds of issues that we would link to our illegal immigration.
Right. And the one thing I laughed at is somebody went on here was arguing about we gave Argentina $23 billion. And I was like, it wasn't just a gift. We're getting beef exchange. Well, why don't we have our own beef? Because beef in America, the cost has gone through the roof. I mean, we're paying for burger what we used to pay for steaks, right? So we can bring in Argentinian beef, and that's a way that they can pay us back for the $23 billion. Because if we didn't do it, China would.
Okay, but do you know why our beef is so high? There's 4 companies that basically do all of the meat packing. 2 of them are run by Brazil. And the 2 that do it control our beef industry. And it's not the price of the cow, it's the price of the slaughterhouse, because the Brazilians are manipulating it.
And I can believe that, I mean, right now there's a massive, Smithfield's actually moving one of their plants, and it's a multi-billion-dollar deal. But, of course, they're moving it from a downtown point in that city. It's where I'm from, actually, where I moved here from. And it's, Denny Sanford gave like $50 million to buy the area and it would be a great area once they move that out of there. But now you've got people who are upset. But, they didn't want to let that out of the state just because of the economic impact of that plant, because Smithfield, as you know, is freaking huge, But they're owned by a Shanghai group, if I remember right.
That's the third one is owned by China. Hanson, I got a question for you. And for you, did you guys hear a few weeks ago, Trump said, hey, if you are in the Chinese government or military and you want to come talk to the CIA, we're like open for business. Did you guys hear that little blip?
That was advertisement specifically directed at John.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think there was a link between that and a week later, the purge?
Well,
do you think maybe there was a coup afoot and he caught wind of it?
Yeah, I don't think it's because of that. This is one thing link in the whole operation. I mean, this is. The thing is, it basically sows suspicion among the high officials in China and all that. So I don't think that is the one that precipitated that. It must be just one of many big operations. So it does. I mean, it's a convergence or confluence of many events. And then of course Xi Jinping is a very suspicious person, and he basically purged everybody in the military commission, the high military commission. So except one guy who's doing we call it political stuff. All the professional military men have been purged.
Me of when the Iranian president Zion, and then suddenly when he came back, he got offed, which seemed highly suspicious to me. Like maybe we had met with him and had something going on. Like I talked to a friend of mine who's from Hong Kong, and we were theorizing that perhaps there was a coup afoot, and that he got wind of it. Or it's like you're saying, he just got extremely paranoid and had been wanting to do it for a while and felt like he had an excuse.
Yeah, there could be. There's a lot of rumor about the rumors swirling around about coup attempts and everything, and counter coups and everything. So yeah, I mean that nobody knows exactly what's happening, but definitely Xi Jinping's position is weakening, and he's taking out all the whole military high commission.
Yeah, I keep praying for a revolution. Tiananmen Square Part 2, 2.0.
Yeah, all the generals, not only the military commissioner, all the generals, what about 4-star generals, 3-star, 2 stars, and he took out like the whole high command, the commands of the rocket force, 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that. Thanks for your opinion. I respect your opinion, and I've been asked a legal question about the ruling from the Supreme Court, but I don't think she's still.
That's Jenny from the block.
Yo, I had never heard her speak. It's like a ghost. What the fuck? Like a fucking phantom. That's crazy. Yo, J-Lo. Are you being held hostage? Why can't you speak freely?
Hello?
Huh?
I'm afraid my karma will go down for a terrible joke.
No, go ahead. Just say it.
No, I already did, and now I feel like bad about it. And it's not just because the.
About then.
This is the one where he's on a talk show and his daughter's sitting next to him, and they ask, "What do you have in common, Ivanka, with your dad?" She said golf and something else. Then they asked Trump, what do you have in common? He goes, "If I said sex, that'd be awkward."
Wait, what did you say?
That. I remember that.
Yeah.
What did you say?
He said, so they asked, what do you guys have in common with Wonder? That was Howard Stern was different. Howard Stern was talking about her body and how she was a sexy piece of ass. This is when she was a kid. So they asked Ivanka, what do you have in common with your dad? And she said golf and something else. And they asked Trump, and Trump said, If I said sex, that'd be awkward.
Wait, before we confirm it,
I don't
pretty
even
fucked up.
know what that means.
Wait,
Come on. Yeah, like she brought up one thing and then went to another.
That's what he said.
Confirm this is true. Before we confirm if he actually said this or not, do you guys think that's disgusting? Before we confirm if it's true.
Yeah, we don't know what the context is. I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah,
What's the context?
I think
I'm gonna say no.
that's all there is to it.
Because
If there's a context, then I'd like to hear it. But if that's it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because the problem was she kind of hit us with the bait and switch, right? So she provided like the scenario that we've already discussed.
Can you play that?
She spoke-
Someone's got it.
Just hold on.
It was an awkward rebuttal.
No, so like she provided like the whole dating thing, like the View interview, right?
Yeah.
So then when we start talking about that, she hit us with the bait and switch and then brought something else. Come on, bro. And then brought something else up that we weren't even talking about. So now we have to kind of
giving
look
you
at
instances.
this is cringe.
Come on, lady.
This is
Come on, lady. She's the one. What do you mean cringe? She's the one who brought up the whole View interview in the first place.
No, I'm saying that. Wait.
You're
saying like. Okay.
I'm saying Ace brought up the interview.
Well, let me ask you something. How could that be contextualized in a way where it's not like as weird as it comes off?
Well, that's not all right. So
Him saying-
you talking about the
This was a Wendy
Okay.
Williams show.
So you're talking about the switch?
You said you need context, right?
All right. So yes, maybe you're not hearing me. So what I'm saying is,
No, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
all right. So Ace brought up the dating one for the View. We all start talking about that.
I think someone
And
else
then
brought that
she,
up.
like-
What we're talking about
Hold on.
currently.
No, we're not.
No, when
because on
someone
the
brought up the View, I thought they meant this
not
one, the
the
View.
View. We're talking about the interview she just
This
talked
was-
about.
Yeah, so sorry, this one was on the View. Sorry, this was not Wendy Williams. I thought it was a View.
All right.
It is
So
Wendy
she
Williams,
mentioned the
but here's
View.
what I'm
It's
saying.
always
So she mentioned the. Come on, bro. Yeah. So she
Can
mentioned
we
the
hear the tonality? Can we just
Oh,
hear it?
Yeah, she mentioned the View. She mentioned the dating. Now she's switching it to something about sex
Right.
and Wendy
Hold on.
Williams. Do we agree
I
that
think
that's what happened?
That's not
Well,
the
okay,
timeline.
what happened?
That's not what
No.
happened. So, like, here's what happened, right?
No.
Yeah, what happened,
Yeah, right.
brother? Let's see how good you can
Here's what
try.
happened. She brought up sex. I interjected on dating. Like, who would you date that you wouldn't have sex with, right? That's how we started talking about the interview where he mentioned dating. But she was consistently emphasizing the sex term that she was referring to. Now taking place is instead of addressing right. So like instead of addressing the fact that he said he has sex in common with his daughter, you want to quibble about which talk show he said it on.
No, just keep it on the time.
Hey, did you bring up the dating his daughter? Hey,
Hold on. Does it matter the way in which this occurred? Can we just look at what was said and then you can give us thoughts? Because you said there's context to the sex.
Ace, hold on. So
You
this
still
is
trying to defend him with
Hold on,
something.
Ace.
And I'm outright saying no.
Ace, all I'm saying is we are having a recollection, like session here. Somebody's
Okay, we don't-
tracking a
that's
We're
ability.
not
just
having a recollection session. We're not.
Just hold on, bro. Somebody's tracking has been questioned, and I'm
No,
just
but we're talking
wondering
about how
if
egregious
you.
he is. I
Fuck, bro.
example.
Hey, when I told you that we're doing something here, obviously you're not a part of that.
Everyone's
so
saying that
I'm just
they're not
asking
doing
you
this.
He's gonna take the
Okay, but I'm participating
what
too,
is
so
wrong
like
with this dude?
we are.
No,
What the
He's
fuck
trying
do
to
you
fight
think we're
about
running
what
away
happened.
from?
Okay, can somebody just read
You're
the...
talking about something that's irrelevant. Can we get
No.
What
But
the
Louis
fuck?
doing the experiment.
This nigga Luca thinks that he's tracking well. I'm pointing out that this nigga's not tracking well.
Oh my god. You're running away. Why? For what? For
Why
what
can't I just kill this nigga first before I kill you, bro?
Because we're gonna come
This
back.
is
You're
irrelevant.
never gonna come back to the point. You're gonna jump to the next point. That's what you do. It's your style.
Bro, if I'm
Okay,
acknowledging that both
well,
points...
can we please confirm if it was said or
Come
not?
on, bro.
Can we first confirm if it's said or not at the context?
Yeah. Let's just go back to the context because this will
Do
be
you want to
like,
play
bro,
it?
they can't
Can you play it,
parse.
Ace? Or did you want...
Somebody
Wait,
wants to
hold
play.
on. I was gonna-
Who said what when? Who said this?
look,
Who said
because
that?
Yeah, we're gonna
because
play
that's
that right now.
important,
We're gonna
and
address
Louis
this
just
when we
asked
Wait,
that.
I put the article in the chat. I can
I
read
thought
it.
you was tracking. All right, hold on. I'm gonna go ahead. Bro, can I give my point? Thank you.
You good?
No. Okay, hold on, nigga. What the fuck? Just chill, Luca. Just chill. Okay. No. All it was a sassy ass, awkward, white rebuttal janitor joke shit. So no, it's not fucking weird. Y'all act like y'all ain't never been around white people before.
They really haven't.
They really the fuck haven't. What world do y'all live in?
You're normalizing this behavior.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
What?
This is copium.
Y'all are trolling around.
Well, right now, Dawn
not
is saying
trolling.
that
You know, a lot of people.
This is copium. This is copium.
I'm really
You know,
worried.
a lot of people live in ghettos, bro. What do you think?
guys, can I read it?
That's what I'm starting to think, bro.
Can I read it?
No, don't read it. Play it. We need to hear the tone. We need to hear inflections and shit.
Thank you. We need to hear the context.
Yes, we need to hear the tone because tone is going to give context.
What does an inflection do to that?
And everything.
I have no idea how to play
It makes an inference towards it being
Yeah,
a
somebody
joke or a
else.
sassy, and it attaches the mood to it.
About
Stop. Weird people. I know it's weird. I'm not denying that it ain't weird.
Ace don't know shit, man. She ain't even American, bro.
All white people are
She's
weird.
from Pakistan, man.
To
No,
me.
I'm not. I'm not from Pakistan, you little bitch.
Oh, shit. Well, she ain't from Pakistan.
This interview was in
Afghanistan,
2013,
Not there.
13 years ago.
Not there either. What the
So
fuck?
she's like
India.
27 years old, right?
She's from Rochester. Anyway, look.
What? There's no
All I'm
such thing.
saying is,
So this is 11 years later. She's 35 years old at the time. Is that accurate? She's not a little girl, right, Ace?
Listen, so what do you mean? This is somehow better?
Just hold on. You made a claim that she was a
So
little
he's
girl.
made comments when she was a little girl. There's multiple
Hold on.
comments.
You made a...
No, I'm
Come on.
saying we were talking about different things.
Hold on.
We were
Come on.
talking
You
about
made a
different
claim.
things.
Hey,
Different
you made a
instances. So
claim.
she's made comments about her when she was a little girl.
Fucking right. You make a claim, this is how it goes. Is she 35 at the motherfucking
I
time
don't
or
know how
not?
old she is right now. I don't fucking
Well,
know.
find
Hold
out.
on.
But she
Hold
is
on,
his
come
daughter,
on.
no?
No.
Come on, hold on.
Did she make the claim that this bolstered the claim that he's a pedophile? Did she make that claim?
No,
He's
he made a...
creepy.
Hold
What
on.
are we talking about?
Hold on. She made a claim about this
Samoa's
specific
like
interview.
get more
Shut the fuck
confident
up, bro.
That may give
Why
you.
don't you
And then
allow
he starts
Ace to speak,
cussing,
bro?
right?
Why don't you just shut the
You
fuck
don't
up and
allow
let
Ace
Ace
to
speak?
speak. Bro,
So
why
when
you
Ace
weird?
She's
brought up
running
this
away.
specific... When Ace brought up this specific interview, she mentioned Ivanka Trump is there and that
It's his
she was a
daughter.
kid.
No,
I
oh
never
my
recall
God.
calling
You're
her a
a
kid.
fucking
So
dishonest.
now you never brought up that she was a
No, I
kid.
said that she.
No, she
that was
didn't.
his
Why are you
daughter.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't. She
We
didn't.
talked
Well,
about we talked about
You're a liar,
we talked
bro.
Bro, just
She
shut
said
up.
she was
Get the
a
fuck out
little
the way,
girl.
You're
bro.
just a liar, bro. You're
Sitting next to him. A little girl sitting next to him.
That's what the
She
fuck she
fucking
said,
did.
bro. That's what the fuck she said.
We talked about
Nope.
different. Hold on.
She wasn't a little girl in the fucking View interview either.
Wait, who said little girl?
God.
You're a fucking
Nobody.
liar, bro.
What
Never
the
said little
fuck,
girl.
bro?
Oh my God.
It's actually so
As soon as...
pathetic.
So I'm a fucking
listen,
liar.
bro. As soon as this nigga Luca
You're
said,
fucking
I
protecting
remember
what
that.
and for
It's actually
why?
so
Hey,
pathetic.
hey, can you hold on
Who
real quick,
are
bro?
you protecting? You're calling me a fucking liar, and who the fuck are you protecting?
So
Okay,
when
hold
she
on.
was...
Why are you calling people liars?
That wasn't
Hey, hey,
the
can you hold
that
on
wasn't
real
the
quick,
time.
Ace?
That
So we can
wasn't
clear the
time
business?
to
No
talk
one's
about.
fucking lying.
Hey,
I
hey,
fucking
Don, can
said
you
that.
hold on real quick,
Okay,
Don?
we talked over
Hey,
each
hey,
other.
can
So
we
there's
clear the
no
business
recording.
real quick?
Hold
All you
on.
would do is suck Don's
No,
hell
you
over
can
the
just
The
hold on real
time
quick,
when
Ace.
he said something sexual about his daughter wasn't here.
Hold on.
Here you go.
Just
I'll
real
give you
quick.
that article. There you go.
So when you were providing this is when Lucas started to chime in. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gonna
Fuck, nigga, can you hold on, bro?
We
Can you just-
didn't hear what we heard.
Can you hold on, bro? Like, I'm pointing out the point in time when she mentioned that Ivanka Trump was sitting right by him and she was a little girl. This is when this nigga Luca was like, oh, shit, I do remember this. She's
She didn't even
right.
say little girl. You're
Fuck,
adding
nigga.
that.
She just acknowledged that she fucking did.
Okay, hold on
She
for a
was talking about
second.
something
Hold on. We
different.
talked about various instances. The one that with the little girl, that's when he was with Marla Maples, and he talked about Tiffany.
Oh, so she did
That's when she was
mention
1
that,
year
you
old.
fucking
That was when
dumbass.
she
Not
was
in
girl.
this context.
That I never mentioned it, but there is an instance if you want to bring
It's
up
clearly
babies.
not.
So she,
That's not what I mentioned. But I can give
Hey,
you an
listen,
instance if you
listen,
really want to
Bro,
hear
you
this.
gotta chill, bro. You gotta
Wait, it's
stop.
clearly
bro,
not the interview.
if she brought up the
No,
first
no, no, no,
interview,
no, no, no.
It's clearly not the interview. Listening.
Good night, my darling. Good night, my dear. Good night, sweet darling. Your dreams are near.